Thank you. Okay, so yeah, I will share the screen first and then I will go through the session today. It will be a 45-minute session and yeah, I hope everyone enjoys it as well. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, nice. So hi everyone, welcome. This is like the first GTA GTE track and session for the whole RFS. So I hope you are good and you're well with all the sessions this morning with like the essence sessions and also some clarity session, lead sessions. And later on, you're ready to dive into some of the operational issues and operations we have in AP region. So yeah, as very explanatory from a title, today we will talk about a bit of the product report, some discussions, and some way forward. And before I go into anything, just to introduce myself, just in case if you don't know me or you haven't seen me from the GT commissions, because I know some of you might be from VPP. And if you're from VPP and you don't go to GT commission, probably you won't see me. So yeah, very nice to see every one of you. I'm Angela and I'm currently a network support specialist of IGT from APRO this year. And also I've been RST for 1 year, like from January 2021 to now. And then previously, I'm also a LCVP IGT back in ASEAN, Hong Kong. So yeah, very excited to share some product insights with everyone. And just to let you know what will we be going through today. So we will be going through the whole report like briefly and also according to how much you have read it. And also you have some key discussion questions that I hope everyone can join in and discuss because we don't really have a lot of people here. So it's around 13 13, 12, 13, 14. So it's not a lot of people. And I believe some of you should have known each other as well. So hopefully we can have more discussions ongoing. And then also I'll let you know some of the key action steps, like what is something to pay attention to after we read the report. So these will be the agenda, also the objectives for today. You'll get to know more about the report, more about AP's situation on GT, and also anything that is able to downscale or able to be implemented back in your entity. So some expectations set. So once again, because it's a very interactive session, it's called a discussion session. So I hope that everyone would be very open. Like if you can like do answer some of the questions, really think about the questions that I put in the slides and also be willing to raise your own questions because sometimes it's not useful if it's only feeded from one side because I know every one of you should be very active back in your own entity and back in your own meetings to also bring up different discussions. So I hope everyone could also be in the same mood here together. We can also have inputs from every one of you because I don't know, like I personally have not been an MCVP before and I hope to also get inputs from every one of you and also it will be valuable for next year's RO to know what to help you guys with as well. So yeah, like you can listen carefully and also think thoroughly on the questions posted and also to listen to other people's responses and also of course be try to be open to share and we want to learn about you and your entity. So if you feel like answering the questions, just answer the questions. We don't have a lot of people here. So if it happens that no one really answers, you can just unmute yourself. You don't need to raise up your hand. You don't need to have any formalities and anything. Yep. So we'll dive into the product report. So maybe can I get a sense of every one of you? I should have sent the product report to the GTA GTE Telegram group. Any one of you here don't have the product report or and then also can you give me a percentage of how much have you read through it? Like 100%, I read through everything, or I just still on the first few pages, maybe I will need to go more deeply into the content. So that's for me to adjust how much do I need to explain when I'm going through the report. So yeah, maybe you can put in the chat box. It's okay if you haven't even read it before, like read it, because yeah, it's quite, I sent it quite like not really early, so it's just lunchtime. So yeah, if you don't have the time to read through it, it's still all right. If you have the time to read through it, we will also take you through again. Maybe we can also, yeah, skim together later on. Anyone else? Do you have any, like, it's okay, really, if you haven't read it, or if you don't really know where is the report, if you don't even know what is the report like, it's okay. We can go through it together now. Anything more? Okay, skim through. Anything else? Sure, it's okay. Maybe then I'll still give some details when I'm explaining and going through the whole report. And I think we can also use the chat box function as a very useful function that you can type in any notes or any questions you might have at that moment, and we can go through it later on. So don't just put it in your minds, because later on you might forget it, you might just forget about it and forget to mention to us, and it will be very sad if you just remember after the session. Okay, so here's the product report. So I'll go through it. I will go through it step by step. For those who skim through, maybe you will get more details. If you haven't read it before, then you will get to know how is the product report like. Okay, so yeah, so in the product report, basically we cover 3 different things, a few performance data, and then some of the bottlenecks observed, and also key considerations forward. And for the performance review, I believe these are some just general numbers for everyone to see. So because everyone's term started in July, normal term started in July, so I put the numbers basically based on July onwards. So we can see we do have some openings, and we do have some realizations happening and approvals happening as well. And it is from these fewer entities. So congratulations for your openings, and also congratulations for realizations. So yeah, I will talk about the problems and insights later. So I'll just go through the data. So this is for IGTE. So you can see it's similar players, and we also have quite good results from IGTE. And the approval seems okay when compared to IGTA, but the realizations are a bit weak comparatively. And going to OGTA, we can also see like a lot of people apply to different opportunities. Majorly from these entities. The other ones are more scarce and more distributed. And we also got some approvals and realizations from these entities as well. For OGTE, it's less big players, but we also have a lot of scattered players, and we have generally less approvals and realizations. So these are the general performance data that we have. And going to the growth at bottleneck, we can see that it's the demand and supply match. So this is a very weird problem, because it's not the same with what we see before in other product reports, or the last product report that we have seen. So if we are looking at the GTA live opportunities from slots and from Expa right now. And I assume it's only for slots created from Q1 2021, because there are quite a lot of other slots created from like last year or last year, which might not be valid. So I try to be as accurate as possible. And you can see for the 4 regions, they have their own specific kind of opportunities raised in a bigger sense. Of course, if you see as number wise, AP does not raise or does not have that many opens as compared to other entities, but we cannot directly compare because firstly, we don't have that many players here in AP. And secondly, we might not be in the same situation and like external situation wise as well. So we can't directly compare, but we can just use the ranking within the region. And we can see that it's quite weird how we are very focusing on short-term and like short-term opportunities when we compare to other other regions. They are also having some long-term entities, like long-term opportunities as well. And going to our OGTA application for July to October, we can see that most of them go to long-term. But we can see also that we don't really do that many long-term, and maybe the long-term ones are mostly going to EU, Americas, etc. But I think the problem is that more about like it's more about how we are offering a lot of short term, but our applicants are going to long term. And one big observations that I don't know if every one of you have noticed is that before the pandemic, actually AP actually does a lot of long term, but not a lot of short term. So it seems to be there is like a change or transfer since the pandemic situation. But I think it's also about how the applicants also change, because in the pandemic situation, we might see there's more quarantine or restrictions, and maybe they might be looking towards like going to a longer trip or a longer longer journey, but not shorter terms, because they might need to do more checks, they might need to do quarantine, and they might not to like opt for some short terms, like they want to make it worth it. So maybe you might need to really keep track on the data and on the situation of the region and of the global plenary, and make sure your opportunities do get matched and they have the applicants coming forward. And going to GTE, it's quite obvious that most of them are going to long term, and it's across all the regions. So it's quite reasonable, and AP is quite strong, I would say. We can see that India and also Vietnam offers a lot of long-term opportunities, when Nepal offers more short-term opportunities. And if we look at our OGTE applicants, they're also looking towards more long-term applications. So a lot of them applied within the AP region, so it was quite nice. And also there's a lot of people going to the EU, which is possible because they do have a lot of opportunities. But right now, as if we see, like we need to also understand the JD as well, because GTE is not the same as GTA, because there might be a lot of nationality or maybe some language requirements and skills requirements. So we must make sure these kind of sourcing or these kind of requirements is within AP or not within AP. And I would say that GTE is more of a specific segment that you need to really pay attention to your supply, talent supply, because it might not be like really according, like it's not really that possible to get it organically, and you might need to do very, very specific targeting, which also brings us to our second bottleneck, which is quite unplanned IR. I would use like the word unplanned, but it's more like it's quite scattered right now. So if we look at GTA applications, we can see that our OGTA for AP mostly applies to EU, and we also mostly get applications from MEA, and which is not the best scenario, but I kind of understand, because right now we do not really have that many opportunities as compared to Americas or EU, but also we need to also kind of prioritize and make sure we do focus of them. And when you look at the applications and when we look at the key partnerships we see, these are the ones on numbers that are the most high numbers. So if you don't have a lot of applications that then your numbers or your partnerships might not be shown here, but it's also okay because it depends on how many opportunities you have, so it also correlates. But what we see is actually, except from these numbers, we actually do have quite scattered IR applications among the whole plenary, as in we do have like a lot of ones and twos within these entities. Like it's not a batch of 5 or 10s, it's like 1 or 2s or 3s, which is quite scattered, which would seem to be very correlated to how you really structure your IR. Is there like a direction that you're focusing on, or is there a targets that you're looking at? And you can also see with these numbers, are you actually partnering with like the ones that you want to partner, or like are these numbers reflecting the partners that you are prioritizing? So I think these are also some reflections that you can have, and also you can see whether, if, for example, Malaysia and Tunisia do have a lot of partnerships, would Malaysia consider having an IR relationship with Tunisia? Or like, is there anything that we can do forward with this partnership, given that Tunisia gives in a lot of applications to Malaysia? And this is also something very interesting when I look back with like the applications we see, like what are our OGTA looking towards. So we can see that if our OGTA looking towards, they are most likely looking towards a lot of entities. Also reason that they might have more opportunities, but it's also something that we need to look at. Does any AP opportunities, or if you are targeting this IR relationship, do you have this kind of opportunity provided for their applicants? So if you don't have this opportunity provided for their applicants, then you can't really look into that, why are their applicants not coming to my entity? So these are also something very interesting to look at and look upon. And if we are also looking towards like IGT, like applications, so we can also see that we normally look at a lot of MEA and also America OGTA. Some of them here, we have some within AP partnerships, but they are not really, like they might not be going really, really strong. So how can we actually enhance and make sure everything goes on the right place and right direction? So these are all pay attention to, and also matching the personas. And if we look at the approvals, it's quite even different when we look at the applications, because in comparison, we do not have that many approvals within AP, like even with other entities and other regions. So you might also want to look at why is it that, and also like, is it that we still haven't pushed forward our approvals, or generally are our applicants really push forward to our partners for incoming side? And for outgoing side, you might also want to ask like, okay, like right now from AP, we have most opportunities going to EU and MEA, but not a lot going to AP. So why is that? Is it that AP doesn't offer the opportunities that we have, or is AP like not really responding to our candidates? So that are like few reasons and few discussions that you might have, and you can also think about it. And of course, the numbers here are very small, given the very small sample numbers at the top. So you can also think about, why is it that, or is it really the conversion that effective as possible? Yep. So yeah, we can see very, very scattered, and also very low AP approvals in general, and also in general. So why is that happening? Why is it that? And you also want to think about that. And for GTE, application-wise, AP applies to a lot of EU, but I think quite nice. And also we get a lot of applications from MEA, and we can see like these are the applications scoring really, really strong partnerships. And also here, it's not as scattered as GTA, I would say, because I think that most GTE entities do have more directions and more like pinpoint IR relationship pointing forward, but also you might also want to see, is the partnerships going on right, and are they translated into your approvals? Because even if we see GTE approvals, it's slightly better than, I would say, like it's similar to GTA, but right now we do not have any approvals for AP, but we have some approvals from MEA, and also our AP applicants can go to other regions as well. So why is it that? Maybe do you have any ideas about that? And because we actually do not lack in GTE opportunities, so is it that our opportunities within GT not targeting to AP applicants, or they are not generally processing well? So you can also check out your these relationships. So you can see there's a lot of applications, but why are they not turning out well in approval? So these are also something that you want to tackle into. And yeah, so are you surprised? These are something that you might also want to think about. And number 3, the late timeline. Basically, you can detailedly look into the timeline that we presented to IGTA, OGTA, IGTE, and OGTE. So generally, we can see that it's quite delayed this time, that we don't have as many approvals that we want to see, that we are supposed to see in winter as the fish peak. So why is that happening? Is that something that disrupted you, or is it something fundamental about your entity or about the region is not performing well? So I think you can also detailedly look at the timeline and also look back, relate the timeline to really exact problems from your entity, and see the times, when did you actually started attraction? When did you actually started approvals, or doing the approval process? So compared to last year, why is it that? Is there any bottleneck somewhere? Is it that because we don't have any opportunities, or because we don't do any marketing, or because we started it late? So there are a lot of different reasons towards the late timeline. So I hope you can also bring in the dots together and link them up, because timeline will not support, they won't happen just by happening. Okay. So yeah, I will hope you can also think about that. And also some key considerations forward. This is the last part. I will go through it fast so we can also do some discussions onwards. So firstly, on sustainability. So sustainability is basically about how is GT positioned in your entity. So we can see from these 2 pages of finance data that we can see how much revenue is your product bringing to your entity, and are they actually taking a large percentage or low percentage? Is it corresponding, is it according to what you planned? Is your product a focus of your entity, or is it not a focus? Or how much is it a focus? And is it performing up to focus right now? And also, later on in replanning, you might also do a lot of reallocation of priorities, and also you will do adjustments on budget. So is there anything that you would need to adjust on budget-wise? And also resources. If you are upgrading or prioritizing your GT operations, is it something that you would prioritize? Do you need more people? Do you need more resources to be put into? And do you need more ESTs, more LLC to participate in? And you might also want to think about that, and how is your product really pushing the entity forward? So this is also something that you need to look at in a bigger picture as a MCVP in your MC team. And second part is on goals versus actual. So I believe everyone actually had their goals back in July. You applied to the I think it's you send in the survey to AI, and also you'll do it internally as well. So this is captured from the GTA GTAP dashboard. So it's not the full one, because I don't think every one of you filled it in. But you need to know that it's very useful to make it very transparent goals, because on a regional level, it's very useful for us to know what do you have in your hands and what do you aim for. So it's very useful for IR management, and also internally it's for you to set out your small goals inside your entity as well. And for IR, of course, like for example, we can see Hong Kong. If Hong Kong is providing like you can see Hong Kong do expect approvals in ITs and also in engineering. So you might also think, oh, they should have some they should have some opportunities in these two fields. Then you can also target it into there. And same as GTE, so it will be very useful for you to have a very accurate goals and actuals as well. So half of your term, so many things should have changed. So you have a half number in some sort until November. So I hope that you can also reflect on your goals. Is it too unrealistic, or is it too, like you are too pessimistic when you're making your goals back in October and back in July? And be sure to update your goals, and also with updated situations. Are you running more products? Are you opening more products and more portfolio? And are you changing your work fields, duration focuses, IR partners, and also product focuses? So I think it's very useful for you to actually really make sure that you have the most accurate and the most updated data as possible, for everyone to make sure that they know about your entity and how are you working as well. So yeah, we see right now the trend is that they are actually quite away from the actual data, which is not ideal. So like I think some of you might want to make very difficult goals for yourself to achieve, like to go beyond the stars, right? That is also a very good mindset, but sometimes it also has to be very realistic to be achievable. So right, a very good example is that you can't make a goal in, like, for example, finance, when you know that actually there's no finance opportunity in your entity. So this is something to also really think about, and it's like a chance and an opportunity right now for you to redeem. So I recommend you to use like reverse engineering. So maybe you have month goals, LC goals, and you build up to your final goal instead of going top-down approach. And also you might also want to think about specific improvement factor. Like for example, your conversion rate right now is not really nice. So you want to improve your conversion rate. So only model your conversion rate difference and make sure that it translates into the actual results. So that is also something that I'll recommend you all to do. And also on the higher levels, goals, that you make it as accurate as possible. That is only possible if the smaller goals and as like the directionary goals, the track goals are accurate and as like accurate as possible as well. And the last point I would like to make is holding a diversified portfolio. So I think every one of you here should be very sure and very clear about how product portfolios is very important. Like what Isaac is currently providing is like GT physical, partly remote, and also VPP. And right now we can see that not a lot of entities run all the like portfolio. So some of you might be only running these two, some of you might be only running VPP, and yeah, and it also differs from incoming and outgoing side. So one question to make is actually, why do you want to make a more diversified portfolio? So it's very important because it's for you to adapt to the ever-changing environment. So like if you have southern border closed, what will you do? Is there another option that your partner can go for instead of like shutting down the whole opportunity or and lengthen it? And also you might also need to understand how is your area adapting to working. Are they only doing VPP, or are they also going back to physical working? And of course, product portfolio expansion means more opportunities, but also you need to think about like your resources and you yourself and your entity. Do they have the capacity and the resource and the potential to run all these products? So there's also all of the things that you need to think about. And I hope these questions and these considerations are useful for you to go on your your replanning journey later on. Yep. So that is it for the product report. I hope you did understand more in my presentation there. I spent much more time than I thought I would. But here I would like to really get more inputs from you, because as the report is very purely data driven, I get all my insights from data, and also I get a lot of information from data. So it's only data driven, but we all know that these are not only from data, but it's also from like qualitative aspects, and there are a lot of reasons behind the data that we don't understand. So yeah, so firstly, the first question that I want to point out here is that do you agree with the problems that I pointed out in the product report? And is there anything in mind that bothers you as well? So I hope that you can also really think about, like, is there any problems within your own entity or things that you observe that you want to bring out that also bothers you, and we can also discuss it together. So yeah, I'll give you 1.5 minutes of thinking time. Feel free to type it in the chat box, or later after the 1.5 minute, you can also feel free to share to the whole room as well. So we don't have a lot of people, so yeah, really feel free to share to everyone. So yeah, we will have 1.5 minutes. I will play some music, and yeah, everyone can enjoy the 1.5 minute thinking time, okay? Okay, so I think we have around 1.5 minutes. So I don't see anything in the chat box. Maybe can I invite, like, or does anyone want to present what they think, and I will type it down, because I think this would actually be very, very important for us as RO or RSTs to know more about you as well, and anything that we can help. So any problems that you think we didn't mention, or you think you want to elaborate on what we say just now? Do we have any volunteers? If no, maybe I'll pick one of my coaches. So yeah, maybe I'll have Sajana first. Are you here? Sajana, are you here? It's okay. So maybe Rolf, are you here as well?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Hello, Rolf. So yeah, do you have
Hi.
any thoughts on, like, questions or maybe problems that you're facing right now that you think you want to address? Like, is there anything that bothers you right now? Like, no matter it's outgoing side, incoming side, anything.
Okay. I think the main one that I'm having is like what you mentioned so far, the unplanned IO, and also the unclear S&D management. Yeah, I think I can
Mhm.
say that one. Yeah, I
What
think it's
what
for
do you
both
think is
sides.
mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly, you can continue.
Yeah, I think it's for both for my outgoing side and also incoming side.
So
Yeah, that's
like
what I want.
do you have like any elaborations on that? Like why is it unclear? Like you are not really sure with your IR?
Mm, it can be something like that, and also as we're switching from GV to GT, and GT is a new product with our entity,
Mhm.
so we're not that very have a clear background. Also, the mapping in terms of whose IO which we need to have it, and also things like that. And as well as we're trying to approach to our existing GVIO partners, but just most of them, they don't run GT.
I
So
see, I
that
see.
would be a critical for us to switching, or I can say that to map out to find the new IO partners that we haven't had with before.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see, I see. So like you basically are struggling to find your IR partners, right?
Yeah.
I see, I see. So your opportunities don't really get matched or they don't have a lot of applications.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Thank you for your input, Ra.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anything else? Like anything outside this? And like if you're from VPP, I know like it might not be the same data that we have, but I think the context is similar. So if you have any inputs, you can also feel free to raise your concerns or questions as well. Okay, so yeah, it's okay, we can go on to the next question, but of course we really value your input because as you see we do have some discussions here and it would be nice if we have your inputs as well. Right, okay, so going to the next question. So yeah, do you have any idea why are you facing such problems? So Rolf touched upon some of it just now. So she said that it's because like she's changing from GV to GT, which I think applies to some of the entities in AP as well. So about these problems, like do you have any thoughts about that as well? So for processing, to elaborate a bit on it, it's also like something about like process time because right now the data we find is not enough to support, but it is also a phenomenon that we see. So process time or maybe on like matching supply and demand, IR, delay timeline, do you like have any idea why you're facing such problems? So I'll give you 1 extra minute. So because we don't really have a lot of time, so 1 extra minute to think about, and you can also give some inputs, or you can just directly type in the chat box if you don't feel like talking. Okay, so I'll give you 1 minute. I feel like I'm stopping the music in a very wrong moment. But yeah, we don't have a lot of time, so maybe I need to move forward as well. So yes, do you have any idea why you're facing such problems? So I think like we do raise a few problems there. So you might not be having all of the problems, but maybe you have your own problems as well. So what do you think? Like we also want to know why, like why is it that? Because we are here like to point out the problems that we don't really know why does it happen. So it would be nice if someone or some of you would like to share like why are you facing such problems. So yeah, do you have any volunteers? You can directly unmute yourself and we can directly speak as well. So because
I think I can share.
oh yes, hi Grace.
Hi. So, in my opinion, I think the companies want more higher profile than the profiles that we have, because like our persona is like maybe some undergrad or freshly graduates, but since they want higher profiles, I think we're having some kind of challenges matching them, like getting rejected a lot.
Okay, I see. So what higher profiles, as in like they want older people, senior people?
Yeah, and they prefer like experienced ones, and like the interviews are kind of like higher than the intern profile that we expect.
I see, I see. So I think this also relates back to like maybe on the incoming side on how do they manage the expectations or how did they sell the opportunities, right? Yeah, I think so. Yes, thank you, Grace. Do we have any other thoughts or any other inputs to this question? If not, we can also go onwards. So it's okay if you don't want to share it out here, but I think these questions are also a good thought process for you to go through when you're like thinking about your own strategies or like really sitting down and understanding your current entity's situation. Yeah, okay, yeah, we have a hand, right? Yes, you can feel free to speak up.
Yeah, so when it comes to us, there's a issue with getting signups as well. So we are working on it because the membership has, I would say, lack of knowledge. So we are working on the education management as well. So the other problem is we are having the university. Some of the universities are not allowed to send them on a next like internships. So that is also an issue we are facing, and for that we are trying to create university partnerships. So that also we are working on. So that is the main issue we are.
Right. Thank you for your input as well. So can I repeat on your first point? Like you said, you're very hard to get signups because of membership, or what is the exact problem on that?
Yes, actually, when we started the term, also like the main issue the entities were complaining was like because the platform like they are only available on Facebook and Facebook Messenger and Messenger and LinkedIn. So and also they are not that like available on social media. So like they had some issues with like getting signups. So and
Okay.
also they didn't have a proper way of tracking and everything. So we are working on the trackers and helping them out to improve the number of signups.
I see, I see. Thank you for your input as well. So I think uh it's quite useful as well. I don't personally understand a lot about that side, so it will give us a lot of input as well. Thank you. Yep. So yeah, just to repeat what I said just now, it would be very nice if you can also think through it by yourself. And we don't have the time for the last question, but I think the last question is kind of could be answered, and also we can teach you how to answer those tomorrow in our other sessions. So basically, it's what do you think can bridge the gap? So I think this is always the key question, right? So you always think about how can you actually improve and how can you actually break the problem. So of course you can do a lot of wild thinking, but tomorrow we will teach you, or we will not exactly teach you, but introduce you to different methods to make sure or help you to actually target the problem and also have the right solution. Okay, so yeah, just wrapping up the session. I hope it's not, if you have any questions on the product report, or if you have any other discussions that you want to bring up, so feel free to let me know, or let your coaches know, or let Serafina or let Fatih know. So I think they are very happy to also have the discussion with you. But ultimately, in this conference or in everything that we do, I think the APRO wants you to be future-proof, as what we said in momentum, like in the whole agenda theme. And to be future-proof, we have like the projects that we have done in the past few terms or past few months. Of course, for OGX, like with supply qualification and lead nurturing, it's something that they want to push continuously to make sure that you actually have the people and have your applications ready for opportunities. And if, for ICX, for all the entities who are still working on the first open, working on your first open is very important. And it's okay to abandon anything else, but just get your first open, because that is always the first most important step and the best thing to do, like to really develop yourself. And always do pipeline reviews and find out your problems and constantly think about how to improve. So this is for everyone, how to be more future proof. And tomorrow, as what I've just said, we actually have 2 more sessions in the GTA, GTE, VPP track. Firstly, it's for entity partnership. So we will introduce you some IR S&D alignment skills and scenarios, and how to do more S&D and IR alignment. So I think just now what Rolf said may be more useful for you. And also you can get a sense of what S&D is. So even though you are not really doing a lot of S&D right now because you don't have a lot of opportunities, this will be useful for you to use later on when you get your opportunities and when you really need to push forward them. And secondly, it's what I just said just now. So it's called this funnel review session, but we kind of reposition it to be a finding a problem and generate your solution. So we will like introduce you some methods on how to find your exact problem of your whole problem and what to generate your solution and make sure you tackle that exact problem, but it's not doing nothing and just a very generic can-like solution for your entity. So these are the 2 things that we are talking about and we would like to introduce to you. So stay tuned, and I will be in the second session, and my fellow RS team members from Andre and also from Minnie, and they will be in the first session, and Andre will be in the second session with me as well. So yeah, we'll hope to see you all there. And just one last reminder, as we see just now from some of your responses, we all know that these problems are not only from one side. Like we have very different opportunities that cannot be approved or cannot be applied by our OGTA in AP. It's very hard for them to work as well. So we are all actually on the same boat together because our problems, our questions actually correlate with each other. So make sure that we always need to work together as a region, and we will need to help each other and be like collaborative to each other and make sure we respond and we tackle our own problems to make sure that our partners can also work well on their performance and we don't become each other's bottleneck. Yes, so that is the things that I want to mention in this session. I'm sorry that I got overrun for 4 minutes, but hopefully you get some new inputs from the product report that I just sent you, and you can also make sure that you can have a detailed read or even share it with your MC team later on. And if you have any questions, again, you can find me in your Telegram groups, or if you want my email, I think there should be somewhere out there as well.